being here. So as this room fills up, I'm going to go ahead and do the intro. You are in the monthly Keller Williams Young Professionals Triangle chapter, Coffee with a Mega Interview. Now that's a lot, so let's break it down. Keller Williams Young Professionals is the division of people who are young and hungry to get at it as a real estate agent in the Keller Williams franchise. So we're all over the world. KWYP is super fast growing, very motivated, people who want to learn from people like Jordan. So Jordan is also he's got that young professional ethos, creative, consistent, hardworking. And so we're here to learn. And so we host these monthly Zoom calls. Sometimes we do them in person. For about the past 2 years. As you can imagine, we've been doing them on Zoom, and we get people from all over the country. So just last month, we had Kimberly Meserve up in Boston. We've got guests that come from all over. Oh, Allie's coming in. Good morning. And this is being recorded. So we may not have as many people live on Zoom this morning, but I know a ton of people are going to watch the replay on YouTube. So I want to encourage you guys to ask questions. And so, yeah, this is our monthly series that we do. And Jordan is up in the Washington, D.C. area. I'll give a little bio on Jordan. He is a former collegiate athlete turned real estate agent with Keller Williams, and has over time built a network around the country of agents who cater to high net worth athletes, entertainment industry, people like that need an extra touch or need that sensibility of how to handle that. And that just grew out of his own needs. Hey, I know an athlete that's transferring here. Hey, I know someone here. And so we're going to hear Jordan's story of how he built that organically and how that has now evolved into another venture of his, which he's repping right there on the shirt, Keller Williams Sports and Entertainment, the newest division, similar to Keller Williams YP. Jordan is it the director? Is that the term? Or the director? Yep. So he's the founder director of Keller Williams Sports and Entertainment. So we're going to hear about all that. He's based in the DC area. We're going to hear about some of the athletes he's gotten to work with and all sorts of fun stuff. So Jordan, I'm going to kick it off real quick. Tell us one or two early jobs that you had. Here's bootstrapping Jordan. I don't know if you were 9 years old or 13 years old or 17. What were some of the early ways that you made money and started your entrepreneurial journey?
Okay. And Jason said he's waiting to get let in. So I don't know if someone's.
Okay, perfect. That's Megan. And can we blast out, by the way, because we changed this link last night, Emily or Kate, can you have Emily to update the link? Just send out on our Instagram stories to make sure everyone has the right link. That'd be great.
Cool. Yep.
Awesome. Oh, and there's Emily right there. Cool. So yeah, we'll make sure Jason gets in ASAP and make sure that he has the right link. But yeah, Jordan, give us one of those first early jobs. Yeah. How were you hustling money as a young kid?
So my first kind of real job experience, I guess, and I know this is being recorded, so
legal activity.
It's gonna be a PG-13 conversation. I studied abroad in Australia. I was always kind of a lone wolf, Patrick. Like I chose to go to I played soccer in college, so I was on the fall cycle. So I went abroad my spring semester to Melbourne, Australia, by myself. Just wanted to kind of get away as furthest as I can, but not have I'm not smart enough to go to a country where they don't speak English. So just figured, let me try this other continent. Had a great time there, ended up going into New Zealand. I actually didn't go back to school for my senior year because I was enjoying myself so much. Got a visa to go to New Zealand, traveled around by myself, and then ran out of money. So I came home and my parents were like, are you not graduating? Like, what's your plan here? And ended up in Georgetown, Washington, D.C. My brother was a freshman at Georgetown University. So figured I would just go there. I was abroad with a bunch of Georgetown University students. Walked into the college bar there right on M Street. If anyone's familiar with DC, it was called the Rhino Bar. It was a huge Georgetown bar. And I had not cut my hair. Patrick, I see that you get a haircut.
I do. Yeah. A little too often.
So I had this like blonde, I was dating a woman who was a hairstylist and she was Australian. So I had grown this like blonde, like Euro mullet situation. And I came back to the States and walked in this bar and asked for a job because I had no skills. I was just a guy that was traveling. And the bar manager told me to cut my hair and come back. And they so I did that. I went and cut my hair and I ended up working this bar 6 nights a week as a 21-year-old that hadn't graduated from school, and really kind of started making some relationships that way. So if anyone's worked in the service industry,
yeah, definitely
6 nights a week, You could still smoke in the bars back there, right? So 2004, they hadn't banned cigarettes in the bars. So, I'll probably pass away about 10 years earlier than I want to from that 8 months that I worked in there for 6 nights a week. But long story short, I still have relationships. And here's a really interesting one. So, and this kind of tells you a little bit about both me and then just in general how I look at the world. In that bar, there was a Georgetown student that worked with me. So my job was like a bar back and running food. I was not doing cocktail or Coyote Ugly by any means. I was cleaning bathrooms and running buffalo wings. But one of the waitresses that would do football, that was a Georgetown student, became a good friend of mine. The wait staff was pretty close because I was in there all the time.
Yep.
2004. So this is 2004.
Ooh.
Jump ahead to 2021. That Georgetown student is now the lead counsel for Keller Williams Realty.
What?
So when I made when Gary Keller basically said, do you want to do this? Do you want to lead our segment in sports and entertainment? You're the right person to do it, which is very intimidating, by the way. I was interested, but Patrick, as you know, you and I go back, like I had other things going on. So it had to make sense for everybody. The vision had to be clear. And I ended up negotiating with general counsel of Keller Williams, who was someone that I worked with for 6 nights a week. I worked 6 nights. She worked like 2 days. She worked football, college football, and NFL, which is the year the Panthers went to the Super Bowl, by the way.
Oh, I remember
that.
Oh, yes, I do.
There was that
Painful.
cornerback on that team that was like a problem. I forget, little guy. I forget who it was. He had a funny name.
Oh, not Richard Sherman. Cam Chancellor. Is that who you're talking about?
No. It was predated that.
Okay, gotcha.
What his name is, but he was like a very animated personality. But
yes,
moral of the story is, starting if I was like hey Jason, if I was a person that was kind of out of control and not about my business, even as a 21-year-old working in that space, which is not really known to have like a super professional type of environment. And then 15 years later, I jump ahead or whatever my math, 17 years later, it's crazy. There could have been an opportunity that was gone if there was like a bad experience that happened years ago. Right. Yep. So I think that having that experience working in a place that's really relationship based, customer service, a lot of the patrons, are not really, they're coming in there to have a good time, right? So they're kind of letting loose a bit, and it's a younger crowd with a college type of atmosphere with less restrictions, I think, than these days. So honestly, it's funny you asked that question. Like I didn't expect to talk about that at all, but it's relevant. And it really kind of trained me to realize if I'm going into real estate, years later, that type of experience is way more powerful than anything I could have learned in a classroom, so it's great. And some of those, I still stay in touch with a lot of people I met during those years, which is amazing. A lot of players. And so,
man, so what, here I was asking you, if you had a lemonade stand or sold Girl Scout cookies or, whatever, and you went straight into work in the bar. An industry that's known for, ragamuffins, transient stuff. And you were admittedly coming fresh off the plane from Australia, long hair. But
Georgetown is not really like a ragamuffin place.
True.
It's one of the more affluent parts of the country. But yeah, I understand where you're
ragamuffin from Georgetown is someone who pulled an all-nighter working on their thesis,
right?
Not doing B&Es at nighttime. But what I heard you say is that you identified what needed to be done to get that job, which was cutting your hair, which, may seem trivial, but for 21, college kid, that's like your identity, right? That's who you are. And so to cut your hair, that's a big shift. And then not only that, but you lived with this integrity that most 21-year-olds working at bars may not have integrity as a high priority, but it served you well 15 years later. Gary Keller's legal counsel. Like I literally, guys, this was not set up. I had no idea he was going to go into that. I was just trying to give him a fluffy question to get started while Jason found the room. But that's it. No surprise though, at the same time, because that's who Jordan is. He's a mover and a shaker and gets stuff done. So did you want to wrap a bow on that, Jordan? And we'll kind of reset.
Yeah, just the hair thing was funny because I had a beautiful like blonde mullet, which was really ugly, by the way. But Patrick, I had to change like when I was in that dating space as a single 21-year-old, like the women that I dated with the long hair were different than the women I dated with the short hair. The hair makes a difference. And I had to set my expectations appropriately depending on my appearance. So,
and I think there's a lesson to be learned there too with our clients. Who we present ourselves as is going to attract different types of people. If you're the long-haired hippie, that's great, and you're going to attract that tribe. Yeah. If you're the short-haired, clean-cut kid, you're going to attract someone else. And same with our clients, right? Especially someone like you or any of us who want to aspire to work with high net worth individuals. Athletes, entertainers. It doesn't mean you need a 3-piece suit on all the times. If anything, that can kind of be spotted a mile away. That guy's trying too hard, or that woman is trying too hard. But being authentic while presenting success, I think there's a lot of nuggets to unpack there. So we're going to dig more into that. Thank you, Jordan, for kind of teeing up the room with that. Jason, what is up, man? Good to see you. Yeah, I think you're on mute, buddy.
You're on mute, bud. There you go. Come on, Jason, you've been doing this long enough.
Sorry, I'm on my last day of a trip. I'm in South Lake Tahoe right now in a cabin with about 25 people. So I'm trying to sneak off because it's only 5:30 here. So everyone's still snoozing in their respective spots.
Dude, extra props for you for getting up and finding the right Zoom link. And thank you so much for being here. If you guys don't know, Jason and Jordan are partners on the Next Move Network on KW Sports and Entertainment. Jason, give us the 30-second speed dating version on who you are.
So my name is Jason Ross. I have been in the sports entertainment industry for 20 years. I have a media production company that works with a lot of athletes and entertainers since 2004. So a lot of I met Jordan about 5 years ago. He had an idea, I'm an idea guy. We worked together. He had some really great momentum, and we took that and we built out a sports entertainment real estate network and attracted obviously Keller Williams, and here we are.
I love it. That's awesome. So you're going to hear Jordan and Jason will tag team these answers. And if you guys have questions, please use the hand icon or put them in the chat box. Megan and some of the other KWYP leadership are doing a good job keeping their eye on the chat box. And so you guys just interrupt me if you see a question that's relevant to the discussion or irrelevant. Either way is great. So something I wanted to ask you guys early on too. Give us like a brief, just kind of the resume of your team. Like, what does it look like? Number of agents, just specifically for the Next Move team in DC. And then let's talk a little bit about the networks that you're building. Just kind of give us the metrics so people have an idea of what sort of business you're doing, maybe average price point, units, volume, as much as you feel comfortable sharing here. Yeah, no problem.
I'll tell you why I'm distracted, but
is Antonio Brown texting you right now?
No, two guys. Zach Ficali is texting me right now, the goalie for the Capitals.
Oh yeah.
Let me just get back to him.
Yeah, please do.
And then this guy Ramon Lariano, who's plays for the A's.
Okay, awesome. And I think we're going to hear too. I'd love to hear more on what your communication looks like. So I imagine you're a little bit more on call than the average agent. But yeah, just to rewind a little bit, give us a big picture view. What's the structure of the team, the Next Move brokerage team specifically there in DC? And I know you have like some Next Move agents who use your branding as well in Tampa. Like for example, I'm a Next Move Network member. I still run all my stuff under Madigan Realty, but tell us what that Next Move team looks like. The townhouses you're selling on Capitol Hill and stuff like that. How many agents? Maybe give us an idea of your volume, your units, average price point, all that kind of stuff.
So I was with Compass before, which I decided I wanted to make way more money, so I left them. Don't be fooled by that company. I know they just came into your network, your thing there. So you'll see some agents jump out and then you'll see them again in about a year and a half. But that being said, we run our team just like most Keller Williams teams. I'm a rainmaker here in DC with the company, with my group, Next Move Nations Capital. We have 2 agents and an admin, really lean. Jason is in Next Move Central Florida, so we've taken advantage, Patrick, of the expansion, the Quen network. If you guys have talked to Cody about that, I would suggest looking into it. It's really interesting. It's really kind of a neat way that KW has opened some doors to attack your business using your structure locally and then expanding nationally. So Jason runs the Next Move Central Florida team. We have a Next Move Tampa team that is off and running. So that's the core of the business. So that's basically the sales to everybody. I mean, that's not necessarily a sports and entertainment based system.
Yep.
In addition to that, at Patrick, as you know, I run a referral network called Next Move Network.
Yep.
That we decided years ago that we wanted to start breaking into some sports and entertainment spaces. So that's kind of transitioned into a more traditional referral network. But if everybody knows how those Facebook groups work, that are these cheerleading squads, like I want to punt my computer out the window. Anytime anyone tags me in that, I'm like, don't do that. Like, I'm not interested in wasting my headspace.
Yeah, and Jordan's referring to one of those international KW referral Facebook groups where there's going to be 100 comments in 10 minutes for whatever. If it's a big city, agent in DC, agent in New York, even agent in Raleigh is getting that way. You know, many of us are all tagged on there multiple times, and it's just hard to weed through. So you're talking about creating a more focused network, right?
Everything has to be authentic. So like those groups have virtual assistants that are looking up. They're getting paid $6 an hour in the Philippines to have a list of agents in locations and just sitting on those groups and tagging the agents in the location. So if anyone doesn't know how that works, that's how that works. So everything that we do is authentic, and your time is limited. Your time is your value. So you could, if you're wasting time doing things, I'm sure everybody's has the same type of mentality. If you're wasting time doing things that like don't have an authentic backing to them or any type of consistency to it, like I just don't believe in doing it. So Next Move Network is a quick way to understand that you have a relationship with an agent in another city that you've gone out and you've spoken to, that you've basically made the time to say, hey, this person is great. And Patrick, like when I come down to Raleigh, you're going to be my first call because I know you. We trust each other. I love to basically send any clients I have to you. No offense to everybody else in this room who's all agents in Raleigh too, but Patrick and I have that.
Yeah, we just go back. Yeah.
So I think the importance of that is how you can build that kind of referral base. And you never know where the business is coming from. So we might as well be prepared and kind of get ahead of that. So that's
absolutely
my philosophy is personal relationships. Understand that anybody can handle your client business. But you have to know that person. Like I don't want somebody to get tagged in a Facebook group that I've never met and that I speak to for 8 minutes and say, oh, but I can get 25%, 30%. Oh, you'll give me 35%. Like, okay, well, I don't really, why are you giving me 35%? Like, how many houses have you sold? So why are you giving me this big referral fee to a client that's like somebody that I've known for 20 years? Like, that's not really the best methodology there. So
so what you're referring to is really you're helping out the same way that we really vet our clients and vet the houses that we send them and show them to. You're doing that with your referrals as well. You don't want to just pass somebody off and not know. It reflects back on you. I've heard you say that in another podcast interview before, that the same way when we refer a contractor to our clients who are doing a renovation, if it goes poorly, they're going to call us and let us know. Same way with an agent referral, right? And that's a reflection and an extension of your business and your integrity when you trust that.
The only thing you have is your reputation. That's it.
Bam. Ooh,
that's what you have. Like, what else do you have? If anybody makes you look poorly, that's unwinding that is going to take way more effort than the potential like monetization of whatever you tried to do.
Absolutely.
Your name behind something.
Yeah.
So you don't do it.
So let's talk a little bit about athletes. We're talking about these referrals that you send out. Give us, what's it like in your head? I mean, clearly you've been doing this for a while. You're more used to it now. Was there a moment early on where you were starstruck? Not so much in the athlete and meeting them, but in the professional. Whoa, like it's one thing to meet Hines Ward. It's another thing for someone in our network to sell his house, his estate outside of Pittsburgh. Maybe you feel free to name drop as much as you feel comfortable. Has there been a really cool, even a DM that you've gotten that made you surprised, maybe earlier on in your athletics journey here? Because I know a lot of this stuff happens over Instagram DMs. Is that right?
It's huge. Yeah, it's a major part of it. By the way, I wish I worked with Hines Ward in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
I actually sold Antonio Brown's house there, which is like way worse. So
that's one thing. I'm confusing Hines Ward, my friend in Atlanta who sold his property, Glinda Baker, amazing agent. But yes, no, Antonio Brown up outside
totally
of Pittsburgh.
people.
Yeah,
Trust
very
me.
much.
So,
Yeah.
So I think when you talk about the sports and entertainment real estate, and Jason, feel free to jump in here too, man. I know it's like 6 a.m. there. So
no, you're good. I'm up. Go for it.
Okay. It's not, so when you start on day one, Patrick,
Yep.
you don't have any expectations. You don't really know what's going on. Like I'm thrown into the deep end. Hey, you want to work with this person? Make it work, figure it out. So if you change the way that you do business, if you're not doing business the right way from day one, you're never going to be successful in this space. It's not going to happen. So so I get a lot of new agents that say, hey, Jordan, like I have some relationships from my past business in sports and entertainment. Like, how can I leverage that? I just got my real estate license last week, or I'm getting my real estate license in 2 weeks, taking the test. So to me, it's that I say, what's your plan? Like, are you going to sell Antonio Brown's house because you know him? Because you just got licensed a week ago? Like, do you think that's a good idea? It's a terrible idea. So the first thing that I needed to do was I got licensed in 2009. So I'm 39 years old. I bought a condo and my grandmother passed away. She lived a great life in 2008 and left some cash. Sorry, my dog is horrendous.
All good, man. Yeah, we've been doing it for 2 years now. No, you don't have to apologize.
Yeah. So my real estate journey started when I bought a condo in DC because my grandmother passed away. My parents said, you can go to grad school or you can buy some property in DC.
Wow.
Those are my two options. Well, this is your money that we want to put in a trust for you. Do the two things. I just gone to school. Like you heard my story. I actually took 5 years to graduate. You think I was really like ready to go get an MBA? No, that was not happening. So I purchased a house in DC, or a condo in DC, in a gentrifying neighborhood at the time. The market was down as a buyer's market, and then ended up looking at that process, got my real estate license part-time. And for 7 years, between 2009 and 2016, I essentially built my book of business and understood how to be a really good real estate agent. Service offerings, your client comes first. You have to be available from 7 a.m. to midnight. It stinks, but all of us know that lifestyle. I probably could have married 3 different women in that time, but because I was so out of pocket, like they just gave up on me and were like, no, this isn't going to work. Like we're not going to deal with this for the next 40 years or whatever. So you have to be a really, really good real estate agent in order to get these opportunities. And if you don't have that experience, that's okay, but make sure that you partner up with someone that does. So I'm going to use Jason for an example. Jason has a tremendously successful business in the sports and entertainment space for what, Jason, 20 plus years?
Yeah.
Like
you'll be 18 in March, but before that, so over 20.
Yep. So Jason is a newly licensed real estate agent as part of my expansion team, but Jason would refuse to do that until he surrounded himself with a more experienced agent in that market that he actually brought into Keller Williams from Berkshire Hathaway, Jason, right?
Yep.
And Jason basically says, I know my limitations when it comes to my experiences. I'm going to make relationships because that's what I do, but I'm not going to sit there and and actually transact the real estate, I'm going to make sure Eric on my team handles all of that. And that's how we're set up to do. So having a good baseline of your business is paramount. Like that's number one. So it's basically, if I wasn't comfortable doing that, if I hadn't been experienced for 7 years, Patrick, by the time I really started working with the Stanley Cup champions, I know you guys are waiting for Carolina to do something in that, keep winning in playoff series, but
You mean waiting on us to win
cup.
our second cup that we won before you guys got your first? Is that what you mean?
I mean, I couldn't even remember it. It was so
Yeah.
long ago.
No,
I
we won it.
forgot.
Yeah, I know. We actually won my freshman year of college
Okay.
back in 05. So yeah, it has been a while. It has been a while, but props to you guys. I almost put on my Hurricanes jersey as a joke to start the
I
interview.
mean, I think Arturs Urbe was in goal at that time or something. But
Oh man.
so we can play that goalie game all day.
Yeah,
I
no, you're
love
good, man. Go
NHL
for it.
goalies.
Yeah.
So it's basically, if I don't have the confidence, Patrick, to be able to service any type of niche client, it just can't happen. So 2016 comes, I'm confident in my business. I get a few opportunities in the athlete space, but I need to convert them. You only have one chance. Like I mentioned before, your reputation is everything. So if you take something that you're not able to execute on just because the opportunity is there, pull somebody in to do it, help you. Hey, I need help with this. So that's kind of how the metamorphosis of like me in sports and entertainment has happened, because I like being that person that has the advisory role to other realtors that get the opportunities because of their relationships, but don't necessarily know how to treat the transaction,
Yeah,
so
100%.
so that's basically kind of the what this is, that's turned into us as like an advisory type
Yep.
of centralized system within Keller Williams. And you have agents that already operate in the space, are confident with it, they have the relationships, so on and so forth. But then you have agents that are like, I want to get into this, but like my story just there, if you actually get that opportunity, you're going to need some support. So
and that applies to so many things, right? And it's not just real estate or a luxury client. It's anything. Like, don't say no to an opportunity because you're not ready. Say yes to it, but then figure out how to get ready for it. And if you need to bring someone in and split it, hey, 50% of a luxury deal is way better than zero, right?
Way better.
And so find the way to do it. Say yes to that, and that's going to open more doors. Well, let's talk about you nail that first client. One of us here on this Zoom call, we've got an athletics or an entertainment athlete client. I've heard you talk about this before, and this is actually, Jordan mentioned he likes being not just the one to give out referrals, but kind of the mentor to other agents. I came into this and I had a little bit of experience with athletics, but since in the past 12 months that I've joined Next Move, a lot of it has exploded, and not just from referrals through Next Move. A lot of it is just my mentality's changed. I have the confidence. I have someone like Jordan to text when I have a question. He and I have texted late in the evening. Hey, Jordan, I've got this NFL closing coming up. How do I ask them if it's okay to post on social media? Because so much of it is you've got to act like you've been there before. You can't be the fanboy and the fangirl when you get these clients in the room. And so what's the best practice for leveraging success? So that way, then you can go and open more doors. Because if you don't ever tell anyone, people may not know about it. So how do you, as Jordan, and how do you early in your career, when you're building this network of athletes, how do you brag about your successes in a tasteful, confidential way? And how do you continue to keep that momentum going?
Yeah. Jason, I think you have some experience with this too.
Well, it's kind of funny.
Yeah. Why don't you start on this one?
What he just asked makes me think about the incident that we had the other day, where we woke up and one of our agents had a NFL guy's information posted on a press release without basically getting permission. Ooh. And his agent Carolina then calls us and reams us because one of our members has done this. And so, that's exactly what he's talking about. How it's a great question, right, Patrick? Like, how do you do that and be respectful about it?
So I have a client here in DC. His mom actually just texted me this morning. Again, Nikki just texted me. So I have a client named Curtis Samuel.
Oh yeah.
So Curtis,
awesome.
Curtis played for the Carolina Panthers, signed here in DC. I got him set up here in DC. He had kind of a lost season this year, unfortunately, due to injury. He's healthy now. So I'm really excited for Curtis to make an impact here. I'm a Philly guy, so can't get away from my Eagles. Unfortunately, I'm allowed to be a fan. I know we say be a professional, not a fan, Patrick, but it's okay to support your hometown team. Just,
Yeah.
you know, don't be weird about it with the players if you meet them. So, right, Jason, don't be weird. Just be cool. Just be cool.
Or you can go to a game with their parents.
That's
like
right,
somebody on this
Patrick.
call.
We'll tell that. I'll have you tell that story in a little bit, which
Yeah.
is awesome, right? A great experience.
Mhm.
So what happened, guys, was I sent a referral of Curtis to Charlotte.
Mhm.
Curtis bought $1 million house
Hmm.
in Mecklenburg County. I don't even know where that is. I assume that's
Charlotte.
Yep.
Yeah, that's Metro Charlotte.
Yep. So did everything over virtual. You know, the agent actually never met Kurt because Kurt's busy. The agent asked for a testimonial after it was done. I mean, it was $1 million deal. It's a $30,000 commission.
Mhm.
The referral fee was 30%.
Mhm.
So the agent walks away with $23,000, I guess, you know,
Mhm.
cool. I think you monetize the relationship and you got to work with an NFL player. Good one. And you'll probably sell that house, by the way, in 2 years, because he's going to want to go buy a bigger house because his salary is $16 million next year. So,
Or if he gets traded or injured, any number of reasons he might sell.
yeah, right. But he wanted to set some roots there. So the agent wanted a testimonial. So they hit me up. Hey, can we get this testimonial from Kurt? Well, just pump the brakes. Enjoy take your wife out to dinner. Enjoy that commission check.
Yep.
We will get you a testimonial, but Kurt hasn't even seen the house yet. Like he's playing right now. He hasn't even been to the house yet. So let's kind of get that under control here. And that's it. So I hang up the phone. My expectations, Patrick, is like when Jason and I say something to somebody, like, please listen, because we're not just saying it.
Yep.
Not in this space.
Yep.
We're not just saying it. It's like the Herm Edwards thing. Like you play to win the game, right? You don't just play to play. Like, come on. So I get a call. I get a text message, right, Jay? It's 7:15 in the morning from the business manager. And the business manager is like, we have a huge problem. So that's not a text message you want to get at 7:15. I have 3 kids under the age of 9. 3 boys. Do you think that I want to deal with that at 7:15 in the morning with with 3 boys like in pajamas and haven't used the bathroom yet, like running around? Like, no. So I get a screenshot of Curtis Samuel holding a phone, taking a picture of this article that's basically outlining his home. So I call the agent, who's scared of me, by the way, because he knows he messed up. You don't want to deal with you don't want to, I'm a nice guy. You don't want to deal with me about, rule number 1 is privacy and discretion. Rule number 2, Jason, what's rule number 2?
See rule number 1.
Thank you. I have a good the answer I get is I have a good relationship with this publication in Charlotte. Like, they'll take it down.
Yeah, that's good. Wow, that's impressive.
Well, Patrick, it doesn't work like that. That's not what it works like.
Oh, I misunderstood that. Gotcha.
So no, that's what the answer was to me.
Yeah.
When you lose control of the situation and somebody else has the ability to do things, that's when everything changes. Because that story doesn't get taken down unless somebody chooses to take it down. If the agent doesn't have that control. So guess what? I contact the publication. I'm very nice. Please take this down. You have 5,000 views and counting because this is clickbait. I can see it.
Yeah.
We're not taking it down. Why are you taking it down? Take it down. Like I'm telling you, I represent the player. Take it down. We're not taking it down. David, me to the agent. His name is David. David, tell them to take it down. David told us to do the story. We verified our sources. We're not taking it down. He bought the house in a trust, Patrick. So everything that we do is correct.
Yep.
But once you decide to put yourself in over the client in any situation, it just happens to be 1,000 times under the microscope as a celebrity, you are basically breaking that fiduciary duty, right?
Yeah.
That's the fiduciary duty that you've agreed to. It doesn't matter if there's an NDA, none of that matters. What matters the most is that you have a fiduciary duty as an ethical real estate professional. If you choose to put yourself first, this is what happens. So
and I want to make a quick comment on that too, real fast. The thing about it is that I found really interesting about this is that this agent does a lot of business.
Yeah.
He has a very good relationship with us. He had no need to promote this or blow this up. He could have internally promoted it. He could have done a lot of his own campaigns, but instead he outwardly posted this person's private information and it completely ruined everything for himself. And he didn't need to.
You're not thinking about in 2000, I think it was 2007. There's a player named Sean Taylor.
Yeah.
Sean Taylor played for the Washington Redskins. There you go.
Yes.
So tragic story, right? If you guys don't know it, Sean Taylor played for the Washington Redskins. He was an all-pro. I think his second season.
Yeah, he was young.
In his second
24,
season,
I think.
he was going to be a Hall of Famer. Like that's how good this guy was. Played with reckless abandon, fan favorite. So Sean Taylor, people figured out where he lived, and 3 teenagers under the age of 18 broke into his house thinking he wasn't home. Sean Taylor was armed. So were the teenagers. They decided to use violence, and they ended up murdering him in his own home. So we aren't playing around here. Like, this isn't like to have a clickbait article on some junky online tabloid publication that nobody reads. Like, this isn't the Wall Street Journal. You know, this isn't an editorial about how you represent athletes and that's, you know, you're great. Like, this is posting somebody's address online.
Yeah. It's
completely unacceptable. And I have a relationship with that agent that goes back 4 years. That agent was one of my allies to kind of get this going. And the bridge is burned. That's it. It's one strike and you're out. So I deleted the information of the agent. I passed my attorney, you know, all of my documentation related to that client, and they can deal with it. And that's it. So,
and it goes back to what you said earlier. Go ahead, Jason.
I was just going to say, and the scary part about something like this is that the connection that we have to Curtis, that person has connections to a lot of other people that we deal with. And we could have lost that connection to our sphere just because of this one thing. So that one guy's mess up could have cost us, who knows, over the next years, hundreds of potential players that we may be referring to members, all because this one person. So we take it very seriously.
It doesn't work to have, we always talk about coming from value, right, Patrick? Our job is our job. Like, we have a job. Of course. We all have egos in this, but we have a job, and that job makes us money, by the way. So that's great.
Yep.
But this is, I think that's a really good, really easy story on what the importance of what this is. And there's huge relationships. There's huge experiences.
Yeah.
If anybody has kids, it's really fun for your kids to have, you know, meet Romello and, you know, right, Patrick.
That's one of the athletes I've gotten to work with through Jordan.
Yeah. So, and why don't you give that introduction? Because let's get away from, I just talked about like a murder and
we'll stop talking about horror stories. Don't worry, I was going to steer us away from that.
Yeah.
Want to get more into your tips and productivity?
Because I do my thing, Patrick, and that's fine. And I live in my headspace and whatever. Why don't you give an introduction in terms of your experience with, if we have agents on this call that's like, Jordan, that's great, like it's really impressive that you work with Curtis Samuel, but how is that relevant to me? Like, I'm not gonna work with him. So what can I do to benefit from this? So why don't you kind of give your example with Romello?
Well, and so much of it's a mindset and a mentality. Like I said earlier, I'm not here to talk about myself. I was the guest a few months ago on these Zoom calls, so I'll be brief. But something that's changed with me of being a part of Next Move and KW Sports and Entertainment is the mentality shift. Because through Jordan's network, I've gotten a few referrals that I've closed, and some that are under contract right now, and some that are, of course, a ways off. We're right now currently working with a Tampa Bay Rays like physician, doctor type person, and that's working with the Durham Bulls, who's moving here. My NFL client actually did not come through Jordan and through Next Move. It actually just came through an old college student. I did nonprofit work on college campuses right when I graduated from college, and I didn't think that much business would come from that. These were the poor college freshmen that I was working with. I had no money in college either, and I've just never really thought to leverage that part of my network. And so something I've learned through Jordan, early on, he talked about working at a bar in Georgetown as like a long-haired dude that just cut his hair. Fast forward 15 years later, he's negotiating with Keller Williams' chief legal counsel on founding this new division. And so if Jordan had burned that bridge early on, then, that could have ruined his chances. That guy could have come to Gary Keller and said, oh, this is the guy? No. Far away from this. Let's go find someone else. Same with this agent in Charlotte that you mentioned. It's, he actually was the opposite. He had a long, big reputation, and it takes a while to build that in a second to burn it all down. And I've been taking some notes over here. So if you see me look this way, it's kind of jotting down notes and thoughts to ask about, but the only thing you have is your reputation. I heard someone else on a podcast say recently, your brand is your reputation. It's not your logo. It's not your Instagram. It's your it's what people think of you when they hear your name. Do they feel like, oh, that's a sleazeball? Do they feel I'm going to take advantage of? Or do they feel, man, that guy's ethical, I would trust things with him? And so when I think about that, this thinking creatively, and advice for everyone here is don't overlook anyone in your database. You don't know if someone that you worked your first job at out of college or in college is going to refer you an NFL client down the road, or a high net worth individual. And not that it's all about the money, but it's about, we are all here to make money. We're all here to have successful businesses. So what are you going to do to leverage that? And just leave no stone unturned. You don't have to treat people like an ATM machine. That's not all they're good for, but you do want to at least contact them and care for them. And like Jordan said, you offer value first. So Jordan wanted me to mention Romello Brinson. Jordan has started doing, if you're familiar with the NCAA, historically, those athletes are not allowed to make money. It's always been a big controversy. You have people who can't go to the Olympics and make money, or they can't play in the Olympics if they're professionals, and yada, yada. You have the guy on Instagram Destroying, who actually got kicked. He was an amazing college football player, got kicked out and expelled because he had a YouTube channel that he made money on. And he had the choice, stay in school, be a college athlete, or make money on YouTube. And he chose YouTube. Thankfully, now that's all done. And the NCAA and the Supreme Court have agreed that NIL, name, image, and likeness, college athletes are allowed to make money on that. And so Jordan and Jason have just spearheaded. I haven't seen anyone else in this space who's jumped on it, especially from a real estate perspective. So they had a list of people. Hey, here are the 30 athletes that have opted in to work with us. Who do you guys want? And Jordan said, by the way, this guy had the #1 play on SportsCenter. And I was like, what? So I looked it up. And Jordan's like, yeah, if you want to do a partnership with him. So I sponsored the athlete. We had a marketing arrangement. We've done some private Zoom calls, and I got to go sit with his family in the stands. And so this is not here to tell my story. This is to brag on Jordan and Jason and what they're building. But the opportunities and the doors they've opened are so cool. And I love that Jordan, when we had the Zoom call with this athlete, Jordan brought on the athlete's mom. And I've seen Jordan, was it Curtis Samuel's mom who you went on a Target run with at one point in DC? So Jordan isn't just the athlete and that's it. You're working with the manager or the agent. You're working with their parents, their siblings, their whatever, the wife, the husband. And so you really
who you're going to be working with.
Yeah. The athletes have a full-time job. They have the money, but they don't have the time to go hunt for a house. And so Jordan, I want to shift back to you and ask you, you're on 7 a.m. to midnight. What do you do to reset, man? How do you keep your motivation and your mindset up? What do you read? Are you a runner? Are you a vegan? Is it the food you eat? What is it that keeps you fueled to go do this crazy business of real estate, much less when you're working with athletes and high net worth individuals?
It's a weird answer, right? So, and I actually joke that my answer is like, I don't do any of those types of high level things. Like I'm not into motivational speakers. I don't read books. I don't listen to podcasts. To reset with me is touch points with people that have made a difference in my life. and not talking about any type of business.
Mm.
So I think
Yeah.
like I have probably, like all of us, I have my sphere, and there's certain people that have impacted my life to the point that I greatly value my relationship with them. So I'll take time out of my day. Like say I'm driving, Patrick, right from point A to point B. Like most of us use our car as our mobile office.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I can really take calls and call people. I love to pick up the phone and just call someone that I haven't talked to in a little bit. Just call them. There's no meeting set up. There's no like advance notice. But a lot of times I get that person picking up the phone because they're like, Jordan, like, how's it going? How's Happy New Year? How's your family? And I can talk about things that are in my life that are personal to me that don't have any relationship to like the commitments and the expectations and the responsibilities of my job. So those people are relevant. They're related to what we do. And now when I touch them, they're going to basically say, oh yeah, Jordan and I just spoke. And by the way, you know, I have this new thing going on that maybe I can circle him in on and something he might be interested in. So the next phone call is, hey, great to hear from you the other day. Like, or I get a text message. I actually was thinking about, I'm doing this thing and like this might be something you're interested in. Or I have a friend who we were just out to dinner and like they're moving to DC. Like, can you and your team potentially talk to them about buying a place because they're relocating? So if I'm sitting there, and this is going to sound so weird, like if I'm reading a book, or I'm listening to a podcast, yeah, I'm getting some information, whatever. But that's not creating lead gen opportunities for me.
Mm.
Like the lead gen opportunities is based off of my sphere. So if I don't connect with my sphere and let them kind of, and just be authentic with them, like what I talked about earlier, then it's like that's taking away a huge portion of my business, and I'm just operating in this little vacuum of me, you know, and like whatever. So I think like if I could go on my Peloton more, I would.
You can make calls from your Peloton, man.
Yeah.
Just turn the instructor on mute.
I mean, I joke with my wife, like I think it's good that I'm like a little bit out of shape, you know, because there's something that's always there that, you know, it's a challenge for me. So I wish I was more physically fit, Patrick, tell you the truth, as a former college athlete.
Yeah.
I would lose in like a potato sack race if I tried to do it with my kids. So that's basically how I kind of shut things off. I want to make sure that I'm using that free time to touch people that have made a difference. And Jason, how did we reconnect, right? Was one of those things. So Jason and I put this next move together years ago, and then we kind of like went our separate ways, right? Jason has a really successful career in Orlando. A couple relationships like kind of got in the way, right, Jay? But one day I'm sitting on the couch and there was a name that came up that's a super really important person in the sports entertainment space. And I remembered Jason had a relationship with this gentleman. And I think I just texted you, Jason. I was like, hey man, it's been about a year. How are you? Like, do you want to catch up? And now we're here, right?
Wow. Yeah. So it's funny. I think it's interesting that I asked you about how to reset outside of work hours, and you basically said, I'm kind of just always working, or I'm communicating with people not about work. But I know
conversation's different.
Yeah,
Conversation's different. If you're working with an athlete, if I'm sitting down to dinner with an athlete, I'm not talking about what's going on in the field.
Yeah,
I'm talking about, hey, like, how's your real estate portfolio? Or how, you know, I know your kids are getting older, and I know you're into golf. Like, have you started getting out on the golf course with them?
Yeah.
What type of like VC venture capitalist relationships have you made? Like, what's your you just kind of keep it really high level and personal. You don't have to talk about their accomplishments or like material items or any of that. Like, none of that matters.
You're being a real friend is what it sounds like. You're someone you would just like you would talk about with your friends. You're not there to fanboy and fangirl over them. So we've got a few minutes left, about 10 minutes left here. I want to be respectful of Jordan and Jason's time. If you guys want to hang around a few extra minutes, you're welcome to. But we've got we've got Darnell, my friend just came into the room from Miami, Florida, Kyle in Charleston, Kimberly in Boston.
My time's free, by the way, Patrick.
Okay,
so
awesome.
Keep going.
Okay, great. We got Cody out in Oklahoma. So what you've got here, Jordan and Jason, is, again, to reset the room at the end here real briefly, Keller Williams Young Professionals. I'm part of the Triangle chapter. I'm the vice president. Kate here is our president on the call. And we just want to host good conversations that are going to motivate our audience. And our audience with KWYP is those young, hungry agents. And so many of us, the people in the room here, are we've either made our first hire, or we're about to make our first hire, or we got over the hump of the first 1 or 2 hires. I myself have 2 employees or an agent partner and a full-time admin on my team. What advice do you give to someone who's looking to grow? Because you get to a certain point, you will hit your bandwidth as an individual. It might be 50 deals a year as an individual agent. It might be 100 deals a year as a small team of 3. How do you guys identify talent and partner with the right people? Because I've heard you say this all throughout. It's the relationship for you. And I'm fascinated by that. You're clearly good at identifying people. And sometimes you get burned and you've got to just cut that tie. So what tips do you have for us young professionals building our teams, but also just our networks of database? And Darnell, I might have to mute you, buddy. I think you've got some background noise. So guys, run away with that. How do you identify talent and surround yourself with the right people?
Jason, I'll let you start.
You know, I think the thing is that in life, in business, anything, in personal life, you're always going to push the hardest for whatever you're passionate about. So what I've found over the years is that I just really had to sit and look at myself and figure out what is it that I love the most about what I do, and what do I dislike the most about what I do. And then you start to find people who have a passion to do the thing that you don't like to do. And that seems sort of self-explanatory and easy, but it's a real thing. If you're not passionate about something that you're doing, eventually you're going to burn out. That's like, you asked Jordan and I, like, what do we do to reset? Like, we literally work all the time because we absolutely love what we're doing. There's a lot of people that will ask us questions that derail like what we're working on, but we've searched and we find team members that have a passion for the things that we don't like. And you think a lot in life, like, well, I don't like doing this kind of work. How am I going to find somebody that's going to want to do that? But you will. There's several examples I could use from a production standpoint of things that I know people didn't want to do, and I found other people who love that, but they didn't love to do what these guys like to do. So from my perspective, when it comes to growing your team, you have to do 2 things. You have to identify the overhead, right? Because if taking on a new person, you're taking on their life, you're taking on their problems or your problems. I've had tons of employees over the years. Anytime you bring somebody into a full-time or even a part-time, anything that their life they're dealing with. Jordan and I have a great example. One of our admins got COVID. And so the last 2 days we're going 90 miles an hour and we had to pump the brakes because we're down a person, right? So you just you wait for the right time. You know that you're going to be able to financially secure who you think, but you find somebody who loves to do the thing that you don't love to do, then everybody's moving at 100 miles an hour on their lane.
So you got to do some real work there to find out what your weaknesses are, or just what you don't like. There, I've seen the cross diagram before of like things I'm good at and things I'm not good at, things I like and things I don't like, or things that make me money and things that don't make me money, and figuring out what to put in the right blocks and doing some internal soul searching, because you don't want to hire the person that's just like you that you're going to have fun with. You'll never get any work done. Right. Or you'll be miserable because you guys will both be workaholics and you need balance. And so, Jordan, anything
they say opposites attract. They say opposites attract, right? And that's the same in business too. Like, Jordan and I have a great partnership with a lot of things because, and he knows what I'm talking about when I say this, we both do something that the other one doesn't. And then when we put those 2 things together, we produce at a higher level because we're not focusing on the thing that we aren't good at. Sometimes you're not in the right position. You got to suck it up and just do the things that you don't want to do. But the goal is to find somebody that once you identify, if I could take these things off my plate, I have this much space open in my brain now to do more of the thing that I love to do and have the passion to do.
So it's like Captain Planet with our powers combined. You find different people who have all the different skills and it comes together. That makes total sense. Jordan, what else do you want to add on that?
I threw it to Jason because he knows he keeps me in check, because a lot of times I'm taking the meeting, or I'm telling him about somebody that I think has a really bright future, and we should potentially give them a larger role. And Jason's like, it's not a terrible idea, Jordan, to do like a 3-month trial and see
Yeah.
how it goes.
Yeah.
Which is really funny, because Jason and I started on like a kind of a 3-month trial that I still joke with him about, and it worked out. But
And that's the Keller Williams model too. It's the 30, 60, 90. You're not hiring them for a whole year long salary. You're hiring them for 30 days. And if they make that checkpoint, then 60
your
days.
business is your business. So you've decided, you being the VU for the Francophiles on this call. You've taken something that works for you. You've spent a lot of money, resources, time to get to where you want to be. Like, why are we necessarily just opening the door and letting somebody else in to be part of that, just without really too much due diligence? And this is something that I struggle with, Patrick, for sure, because a lot of times it's too late for me. And I'm like, we need somebody like yesterday.
Yeah.
Who can we find that can fill this role? I say that I'm going to train them, but I can't. It's done really haphazardly. And then once you make that hire, you're kind of, it's a huge financial commitment if it doesn't work out.
Yeah.
And you're kind of starting over. So it's probably the number one thing I struggle with in terms of the right resources, and I'm getting better at it, but it's tough. I mean, if that's something you're good at, all good on you, because I'm not. So, and that's why I have a partner like Jason that I think Jason and I have the way that we're set up, like we're partners, and he always reminds me of this. So we basically, I can delegate to him and it gets handled. And I'm not good at hiring people. So I just step away from that. If you're a solo agent and everything is your responsibility, it's kind of a different story. But I think if you can find somebody that you're compatible with and you can figure out a business model that works, or the way you guys work, even if your businesses are independent and you're not cross-pollinating with commissions and expenses, like that gets dicey for sure. So
let me add one other thing to that too. One of my biggest things when it comes to that is setting expectations, right? That is something that a lot of people do not do right away. Like, you'll bring somebody on and maybe you give them a job role, but you didn't sit that person down and go, this is what I expect from you. And I want to know what you expect from me, because partnerships, even an employee or a part-time or an admin, these are all relationships that go back and forth. And if you don't set the expectations in both roles, somebody's going to get mad, or somebody's going to get feel like they're being taken advantage of, whatever. And so I think the most important thing you can do is when you bring somebody on is that. And the other hard part, and Jordan deals with this a lot, we're nice guys. You know what I mean? We're nice. I'm a very nice person. He's a very nice person. But when you're doing business with somebody, you have to make sure that if you're going to be the friend, if you're going to be nice, that you do not stray away from the fact that you are still that person's boss or employer or whatever. So I think setting expectations at the beginning can help you still maintain a friendly relationship with somebody, but also letting them understand, hey, you didn't do this right. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And to put a bow on that, I think it's fascinating. You talked about hiring people who complement your weaknesses. And Jordan, I've literally never heard someone say that one of my weaknesses is literally hiring people. And so that's, I mean, if you're within the Keller Williams network, as you know, these Zoom calls are obviously open. We're here to add value. Rising tide lifts all ships, right? So please send this link out once it's recorded, all things like that. But if you're in the KW network, it's actually funny, 16 minutes ago, I had an email from KWU, which is our kind of training department. They're having a new career visioning class, which is literally the class on how to hire people, how to recruit, hire, and then train, because it's really a 3-step process. You got to find the people, then you got to make a decision on them, and then you, like Jordan said, you got to train them. You can't just leave them hanging. They're literally a brand new hire. And how many of us have started jobs and then had a poor boss that didn't train us well? We floundered, we resented it, they resented us. It was awkward. It went on for too many months, longer than it should have. And then finally everyone saw the writing on the wall. So
let me add one key piece to this. when you hire somebody, and Jason, I know you're going to laugh, you're going to nod your head when I say this. When you hire somebody, that person reports to you. That person's the extension of you, but that person reports to you. They're not partners with you. What I'm saying is your relationships and the people that you count on and your contacts, those are your contacts. So I see it all the time. Like I see somebody that hires like a social media manager. How many DMs do you get that are like,
Yeah.
I can't block those people fast enough, right? Or I got a text message yesterday from some guy, it wasn't a bot, it was a real guy that was like, hey, like I can do your social media stuff. Like here are the accounts I represent. Let's get on a 20-minute call. My reply to that guy was delete my number.
Yeah.
He wasn't happy about it because I think he doesn't get somebody that's that straightforward. I was like, there is 0.0% chance that I would ever let anybody touch anything that I have my name on for social media. It's a huge tenet of this because like we talked about, Patrick, how many DMs do you get that
All the time
actually are people that are trying to get in touch with you? If I have like a millennial, no offense to the millennials on this call, I'm a millennial myself.
Yep.
Running my social media and like having access to that's crazy to me. Even if it's a business account, like that's crazy to me. So your relationships is all you have. Like that is going to grow your business. Patrick, you had mentioned, Jordan, do you sell real estate? Like I sold $60 million. Yes, I sell my team did pretty well last year, 3 people. So
that's awesome, man.
We still sell real estate. Like we don't just masquerade in this space and not actually do production. We do. So there is a huge piece that if you're the boss, be in control of the relationships. Don't delegate that type of stuff to somebody else. I get emails from admins to Patrick that are like, hey, I'm the admin of Joe Smith. Like, can Joe get a meeting with you? My reply to that is, if I was that important, like Joe would probably reach out to me directly. So no, I'm not going to take the meeting.
Yeah. And
don't email me again.
Yeah. Wow.
And it really kind of scares me. They don't know how to react to that.
Yeah.
But taking your relationships, if you want to have those relationships, take control of those and spend some time on that. And that's kind of what I would give as advice. And I know this Zoom, Patrick, may have gone kind of a different direction because I'm kind of black and white with my advice. We don't sugarcoat anything, especially in this world. It's like, this is a dog eat dog world here. So, take it with a grain of salt, but this is what works for me. And
no, that's great. We're here to listen to you and Jason. We're not here to get some textbook answer that Gary Keller would be proud of. I mean, I think Gary Keller's proud of you. He is allowing you to direct this new division.
Yeah.
We're gonna let me wrap a bow on this, and we'll keep going for anyone who wants to stay on the call. Juliana in Pittsburgh or in Pennsylvania, excuse me, I missed you when I was doing my little territorial shout outs. Thank you, first of all, for being here. And she also asked a question, which we're going to answer in just a second. But her question was, how do you balance the work life, especially having a spouse and with you guys having kids? But before you answer that, for anyone who needs to log off, where can people find you if they want to connect with you? I see you've got kwse@kw.com on your Zoom handle. Is there a website, an Instagram handle, text number? What's the best way, Jason and Jordan, both of you, for people to follow up with you after this call or after this YouTube recording?
That's the best way, the email.
KWSE for sports entertainment at kw.com.
If you have a quick question, we have an open enrollment right now with sports and entertainment, and hopefully on this call I know there's a bunch of agents in here that are part of us, Juliana, Steven, Demetria,
Allie Parker up here. She's
Allie is here. Yeah. Becca Ellis.
Yep.
I think Matt Lawson, maybe, unless it's a different Lawson. We have I don't want to make assumptions here because it's like been a process. I think that's a good question from Kimberly. Is it worth enrolling if there's other people in your area? 100%. So we're scaling sports and entertainment to essentially be way bigger than just selling Curtis Samuel a house. Like that's cool. And that's going to make you a return on investment into the company, into the group. The group does have a fee to it that protects the group. If it didn't have a $199 month fee, we would have 4,000 agents and be completely inundated with everybody. And so the fee is there to protect the integrity of the group. And it's also to create a budget that we can reinvest into the group. So family reunion, we're going to have, Jason, what, a $30,000-$40,000 event there with celebrities. We have Jason has an American Idol finalist that's going to be doing the live event, the live singing there. We have a few really, really high level business people and athletes and celebrities and actors coming, but don't look at this sports and entertainment. Look to your left and your right and say, you know, Allie and Becca and Steven, they're already here. So like, why would I want to do this? I don't want to compete with them. You're actually not. What you're doing is you're creating a collaborative team that we can infuse programming to each region and really do some awesome stuff. And if you're just an individual agent, if we're like, you know what, Kimberly, like you're our Boston agent, we're going to do everything for you. That's a lot of pressure for you, by the way. And I don't think you want to deal with me on that because I'm going to be super hard on you with if it's just a one-on-one type stuff. So having that baseline of activated agents together, we're doing marketing, we're doing events, we're doing masterminding, we're doing training, we're doing how's your LinkedIn look? You know, LinkedIn is free. Like is a majority of our clients, Jason, they find us on LinkedIn, right? That's where they are. You want to talk about LinkedIn as a free resource, you better have your LinkedIn looking really good. And we'll do a training on that, you know, keep that updated. So don't look to your left and your right about who else is doing this, because we're going to make this scalable to the point that everybody's going to benefit for being part of it. And the Facebook group that we have is super enthusiastic, and agents are making connections, and it's not just sports and entertainment referrals. That's 5% of it. I mean, 95% of it is, I want to recommend an agent that I know within the group in Raleigh.
Yep.
I have a client that wants to buy an $800,000 house or sell an $800,000 house. Like, of the 8 agents in Raleigh, like who wants to interview for this and who's a good fit?
Yep.
Absolutely.
Great
I'd like
question,
to add to
Kimberly.
that too.
Yeah.
One of the main things that we've said in our group, and this is like one of my favorite lines, is it's a collaboration, not a competition, right? I'm not going to tell the whole story, but there's somebody in Next Move, Patrick, that Jordan and I had a mastermind with one day. Found out that this person knew all the tournament directors of the PGA, or she had her friend was the highest possible position in the PGA tournaments, and ended up giving her and to us a list of all the PGA tournaments, the directors, their emails, their phone numbers. This person, she knew her friend did this for years, never tapped that resource. So when you're in the same market as somebody else and you think of them as competition, what you're doing is stopping a potential mastermind with that person where you both could benefit. Because I can tell you this, when we found out about the PGA and they sent us that list, there's not one person who could handle dealing with that entire group of people. You would need more people. You know what I mean? And that could happen from everybody. So if you look at it like another KW member in your city is your competition inside sports entertainment, then you've missed the point of what we're trying to do.
Yeah. Great question, Kimberly. Before Juliana has to go, before you guys have to go, how do you guys balance that work-life balance with having spouses, kids, anyone that's important in your life?
I'm harder to get in touch with on the weekend.
Okay. So you intentionally scale it back a little bit on the weekend.
Yeah. I'm harder to get in touch with on the weekends. I delegate a lot of showings and production stuff to my team, which is great for them. You know, so I'm a rainmaker. I do have partner showing agents, lead agents. The two that I work with are super enthusiastic. They're motivated. And as you mentioned, Patrick, our splits are really good. So I basically will give them more money than normal because I can go watch my son play travel hockey. I mean, my kids, My kids play ice hockey and they're swimmers. Like the two worst work-life balance sports you can choose for your children. Who's ever a parent here knows that. So ice hockey, ice time is 5:45 a.m., which actually helps me because
Man,
I can get that out of the way early.
how far are you from the rink?
So we actually are local.
Okay, good.
Thankfully,
Oof.
our rink is 10 minutes away. The team's not very good, but I tell my 9-year-old, you're on a crappy ice hockey team and you're the best player because I only have to drive 10 minutes. So I'm not driving an hour and a half to go play for the best team of 9-year-olds. Not interested in that. So deal with it. And we'll give you private lessons so that you're okay. And everybody's on the same skates, and it is what it is. So, so really weekends, I think you have to work-life balance it. I'm married. I've been with my wife. My wife went to Duke right there in Raleigh. She played field hockey at Duke.
Awesome.
Went to the national championship her senior year in 2004. Way better athlete than me. I was a D3 soccer player that just hacked down people's legs and got into fights and, just skipped a year of school. Like, don't look at me in terms of a role model on that stuff. But it has to work. Like you have to be present. Pandemic has changed the way that we work. So it's worked out for better for me because I'm more around, but I do spend time on the weekends to try to create that experience, and the work can sometimes the work can't wait. If it's a contract that has deadlines, it is what it is. But for the most part, you have to kind of make some compromises there. And especially with what I do, we do the best we can, but we do make some time there. So
yeah,
Jason,
that makes
do you have
sense.
any thoughts on that? I know you don't have kids, so
you guys are going to laugh.
He has a cabin full of people that are starting to wake up in his background.
Oh, I wish I could show you guys the actual view behind me. It's unbelievable, which I might walk over there in a second. But honestly,
please do. Or post a pic on Facebook or something today so we can all check it out.
I get by because of my dog.
Oh,
Like,
awesome.
if I'm just being honest, my dog's my best buddy, hangs out with me while I work. So it makes it a lot easier to, you can't see, it's too dark. It makes it easier. And then, that's just the kind of funny answer. My real answer to that question is this: when you're an entrepreneur,
there's the dog.
You don't work a 9 to 5, right? And people joke and you work 24/7, right? But as an entrepreneur, when I know from 5:30 a.m. to about 10:30 a.m. is when I'm going to be good at doing work on my computer. Mm-hmm. Then from 10 to 6, I know my mind's just going to be thinking about meetings or making sure this is right. But so my advice and how I handle it is, over the years, I've learned where and when I'm good at what I'm good at those times, right? If I need to sit at my computer and do physical, like computer work at 2 p.m, I'm not going to be efficient.
Yeah.
But when I wake up and I do that, so I think the best thing that what I do and my suggestion is really just start to understand your mind, your body, when you do things a certain way, and just do it like that. Don't push yourself unless it's absolute necessary to do something that you don't find. Like, if you're bad at 2 o'clock in the afternoon having phone calls, I don't know, for whatever reason, maybe you're sleepy at 2 o'clock, then just never schedule that, and make sure that you learn who you are and how you work, and always focus on doing those things at those correct times, because then you're 100% efficient at that point. And then you can balance. Some days I'll go out in the middle of the day and take off, or play golf in the middle of the day, and then people are like, well, how did you do that on a Tuesday afternoon? It's because I'm going to work Saturday, because I know on Saturday people aren't going to call me and I'm going to get more work done that day. So maybe I'm going to take off. I'm going to take a Tuesday to do some leisure and work then. There's no set schedule when you're an entrepreneur. And if you figure out how you thrive the best, you're going to do the best job, right? So that's my
and taking time to do these types of things, Patrick. First of all, thank you very much for having us on here.
Oh, of course, man. Thank you guys. Y'all are you're giving us your time.
Anytime that I can yell at a cloud with all of my Simpsons reference there with all of my weird tendencies, I appreciate that. So really, thank you for your time. And I know that there's a lot of agents in here that are connected through KWSC. It's a very exciting group. I think just to close, that community it's called sports and entertainment, but at the end of the day, I think it's the most high level community of Keller Williams agents in like a concentrated area that I've been part of from a national scale. You know, there's regional stuff that's super impressive and successful, but this is really like national and soon to be global. So I think getting involved with it's a month-to-month commitment, by the way. If you want to try it out, come in for a month. If it I say if something stinks, like you're not going to do it. So if it stinks, like just don't do it the next month, and no hard feelings. It's fine. Yeah. So, but we're doing everything we can with our team, with Keller Williams, Austin, the resources they have. We're activating a lot of content, just doing something different. You know, it's just, it is a little bit of financial commitment, but it's well worth it.
Yeah.
I just ordered terrible Chinese food last night for $110. And I was like, I might as well have just thrown that in the trash. Like that was awful. And I got yelled at for it by my family, and it was unbelievable. Like, what do you want me to do? So, so I think that there's value, huge value. Jason and I are doing this pretty much full time. I've delegated a lot of that real estate business to my team so that we can concentrate on this and add a ton of value and bring all of our experience, collective experience to this. And I'm super excited about it. And I'm happy to be here and kind of present myself for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
So.
Jordan, as you were saying that we're going national and global, is right when Jason was showing us like all the snowy mountains, and it was like this most epic like overlay of audio and video. So that's awesome. Thanks for that preview, Jason.
It was yeah, it's beautiful. I'm on my last I'm on a skiing snowboarding trip, so it's our last day. We're getting ready to all pack up and head back. But I wanted to make one comment about the value of KWSC, right? So if you look at how much the monthly fee is, and you multiply that by a year, right? It's roughly $2,400. There are 1 million people in real estate who are spending way more than that per month for basic leads or being in groups that have no real value or meaning, right? The thing about us is like last week, if any of you follow what we're doing, we did what we called a coordinated content strike. And so we put together something. We coordinated with every member posting at the same time, and then we provide some best practices with that. And we have another thing coming up. So just this sort of social media aspect of what we do is, and then some of the marketing materials that we're developing already internally, and that doesn't even include when KW is going to have, you're in command, where you're going to be able to, update and create your own material with your name and information. We're still providing it. The value right there, and that's a year. That's a whole year that you would get for what some people are spending monthly for potential leads from third-party websites or being in mastermind groups where they don't stand out. We're giving advice, we're doing marketing, we're making connections. I mean, if you go into our Facebook group, there's Jordan who had giving leads on housing for MLB players and people who are passing referrals.
Yeah, and it's
a no-brainer.
The talent is unbelievable. Like Tanya, for example, Tanya May Powell. Tanya's son plays for the Grizzlies, and she sold 22 million in Grand Rapids, Michigan last year. Tanya, she wasn't even on my radar. I'm like, Tanya, your son plays for the Grizzlies, and you're part of KW Sports Entertainment, and she basically leads the NBA mom group.
What?
Imagine how powerful that is, right?
That's awesome. And you had no idea.
No idea, no clue.
Awesome,
and Tanya's all in. She's all in. Andy Levitre played in the NFL for 10 seasons. He's already connected us to the Atlanta Falcons and the Buffalo Bills. That's something that if you try to connect to the Falcons, if me as some Joe Schmo, hey, like Falcons, like, can we work with your players? Yeah, you can. It's $100,000 check to start.
Wow. Yeah.
You want to sponsor the team, Jordan? We'll put you on a little billboard outside Mercedes-Benz Stadium, and you can market to the fans, and maybe you can do the housing. Now with Andy there as a Super Bowl lineman, started for them for many seasons. I immediately have a relationship with the team, and we're going to have a call to talk about doing all of the Atlanta Falcons real estate business. And I don't have to write a check
Plus,
for $100,000.
and plus you get the mindset, you get to hear the stories, the mindset, everything
Yeah.
of a guy who played in the NFL for 10 years.
Yeah.
And all of those experiences are the kind of things where you start to pick up what he's saying and apply that to your own relationships. Or if you have an opportunity to meet somebody, or maybe you have an opportunity
Yeah.
to understand how to meet somebody.
We're doing 2 events in DC in June. We're going to do an event at Audi Field because we have some relationships there. So we'll do a whole
Some relationships. We're going to get into that more in just a second. I got to brag on you some more at the end of this call, but keep going.
So we'll do an event at Audi Field, starting at 10 a.m. We'll do a 2-day event. We'll rent out the boutique hotel next door. We'll do a rooftop party there, mingle with other millennials, that are part of this, have some fun with that. And then Audi Field, we'll have a whole business symposium in the director's lounge there. It's an amazing room that overlooks the field, super private experience, all VIP. We'll watch the game against Nashville SC that evening at 5. And then I'm going to take everybody to walk on the field. We're going to go in the locker room. Even if it's 200 people, we're going in the locker room. Like we're going to storm the gates there. Meet the head coach, meet the GM, meet the president of the team, meet the owners, meet the players, obviously, meet Nashville SC players because Nashville SC's player coordinator is part of KWSC in Nashville. She's a Keller Williams realtor. So let's do that. So like, it's fun. And then we'll just have all these like really cool things that are just, you'll be excited about going to it. It's not like you're going to go to some conference and sit in a room from 9 to 4 at like a junky table, that you find in a reception room of a hotel. Like that's not what we're doing. We'll have some fun with it. So,
That's
sorry,
awesome.
I'm like super passionate.
No, you're good. And let me brag on you guys a little bit too about KWSC. It's one thing to go on a Zoom call like this. I promise you guys, this is not a pitch for SC. This is really sharing about an opportunity. So I'm a member of it and I don't get anything if you guys join, but just think about it. It's $199 a month. And so that alone is going to cut out a lot of people who weren't as committed. So someone like Kimberly, who's curious, well, if there are already other agents in my market, did I miss the boat? Is it too late? Do they already have priority? First of all, it's a monthly membership. So just like anything in our business, you're not hiring someone for 12 months. You're hiring them for 30 days. If they make that cut, you're hiring them for the next 30 days. After 90 days, you got a good idea. Think about that with sports and entertainment. You can literally do it for 1 month. I'd say that's probably a little too short. Maybe give it 2 or 3 months and be intentional about it. Don't just sign up and then not engage on anything because you're getting around, even if you don't get a single referral out of it, whoever here joins is going to be around these like-minded people, like Jordan said, not only agents like Andy who played in the NFL, but just other badass agents who are selling 100 million a year. There's a mentality there that is going to rub off on you. And we've all heard that you are the average of the 5 people around you. So if you're looking for a way to level up your circle, not that we don't love all of our friends, but level up to people who are going to pull you to another level of your business and your life. Because really, we all do this for our lives. We're not just doing this to make money. We want to spend that money. Yeah, go, Jordan.
Can we turn the recording off for a minute?
Yeah, I can pause it for real quick. So if you want to get back into athletics, if you want to get into luxury, you've got to know the market and show up and surround yourself with those people. So when that door does open, when Jordan says who's in Cleveland, someone can jump on it and you're ready for it.
Yep. Great. Yeah.
Jordan, I want to brag on you real quick. For anyone, it's 10 o'clock, so we're going to close this up here. And I saw Juliana had another great question about working with influencers. Kimberly, of course, thanks for being here. So Juliana, I'm going to invite you to connect with Jordan outside of this. But if you guys don't know, Jordan is also, I'm not really fully clear on it myself, but he has some sort of awesome connection with the DC United. If you see it in his promo shots, he's standing there looking all cool with the DC United Stadium in the background. You've put together ownership deals with Mark Ingram, former, I think, national champion Heisman Trophy winner, Yo Gotti, a rapper, for them to take ownership stakes. Can you tell us, give us a 30-second version of what you're doing there and how that door even opened to you? And is that something you're still pursuing now that you're doing KW Sports and Entertainment, or is that more of a, that kind of comes along when it happens?
Absolutely. So it started with just a client. I actually represented a sale of a celebrity chef. If you guys remember that show, Top Chef,
yeah,
it might still be running, but one of the celebrity chefs on that show, he finished second runner-up on the Top Chef Masters, like the big one. and he used to have 12 restaurants in DC, but he was selling a $2.5 million condo that I represented as a listing agent. And when we sold that, we had 3 bidders on it, Patrick. We had, you know, a tech CEO, just a wealthy tech CEO.
Yep.
We had Mitt Romney,
What?
ran for president.
What?
He was the second bidder. And then we had Jason Levian as the third bidder, the majority owner of DC United. He used to own the Philadelphia 76ers
wow.
and the Memphis Grizzlies. He was Tim Duncan's agent.
Wow.
That's how he got started in his mid-20s. He played basketball for Greg Popovich in college. So relationships, right?
Yep.
Played for the Pomona College D3 before Pop blew up to be the US Team USA coach. That's how Jason started. So again, relationships, can't stress that enough.
Yeah.
Ended up getting the owner to take Jason's offer, 3 blank checks for this property. It's beautiful property. And Jason ended up using me as his realtor. He used a different realtor as a buyer's agent, but we started getting along, and I've sold him $14 million of real estate in the past 3 years, and probably another 14 million coming up. So he's been a phenomenal client for me, obviously. And then because we have this personal relationship from a real estate perspective, there was an opportunity to raise money to bring in additional investors into his team. So that the team is valued at $710 million. So we could add some celebrity minority owners. Like be completely truthful about it. I mean, there was 17 white guys that were owners of the team, and they were like, we really need to create some diversity here among the ownership group. That's what we want to find, like athletes and entertainers that are interested in this opportunity that can create a ton of diversity here, because we really need it. So we got Mark Ingram. Mark's a friend of mine for years. Mark won the Heisman at Alabama and played for the Ravens here up in Baltimore. So had Mark invest a couple million into the team, had Yo Gotti, Mario Mims, is his real name, but Yo Gotti's in Memphis, had a relationship with Jason as the owner of the Memphis Grizzlies when he was there. And Mario is now a partner as well. He invested 5 million into the team. But all this comes through, it does come through me. Like I'm the person that's developing those types of capital raises. And I've raised $13 million for the team. There's a couple other owners and a few others that haven't been announced yet. That's really exciting, but that's just an ancillary to.
That's awesome, man.
What I'm doing.
It sounds like a fun project for you. Something that you enjoy spending time on after hours.
Cool. It's cool. There's legal
That's
stuff.
awesome.
So there's subscription documents. Like if you've ever done capital raise work, there's a lot of subscription documents. There's how like it goes to the MLS system for approval. Major League Soccer has to approve every owner. It's really interesting. Like it's definitely niche, and certainly like 1 in a million. Like I don't think everyone's doing this or has like capabilities. So, but I think being part of this, Patrick, like, and connected to Jason, Ross, and me is like you would never really understand how that works unless you had the relationship with us. And potentially if you were like, you know, I'm curious about this. Like if I get in front of the right people, I think I could bring some minority investors into some sports teams or something.
Yeah.
And raising money is hard. Like raising money is there's a way to do it and a way not to do it. So if you have that type of best practice that you can learn from, it just kind of gets in the door there. So
that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
And it all came from you selling a condo and knocking it out of the park, advising your client on the best offer to accept, and then it snowballed from there. So much of this, it's relationships, being prepared for the opportunity, following up on it. And I'm sure you had never raised money for a professional sports franchise. No. You said yes to the opportunity. And I bet whenever you needed it, you reached out to a mentor, read a book, looked up a blog post, did your research to make sure you were going to execute on that opportunity, and not because you could have easily taken that opportunity and let it flounder. and then you're never going to get that chance again, at least not from any of those people you were involved with. So I think it really puts a nice bow on so many of these cool things that we do. And it's something you're passionate about. You're not out here trying to do something just to make money. This gets you excited, gets you out of bed in the morning. I see you sidelines at Audi Field. Your kids are getting autographs with Russell. You're always, so like it's clearly something you're passionate about. So for each of us on this call to do some soul searching, find out what gets you excited. And it's not that we want to turn all of our hobbies into money making, because then you never get to turn it off and you're always thinking about the bottom line and revenue.
No, it's experiences. It's like have a Jason, right, with Dwight Howard. Have a restaurateur that you're really close with in Raleigh.
Yeah.
You can call that restaurateur and essentially get a table for a VIP on like a moment's notice. Chef's table.
Yeah.
Do that. Cool.
That's
and
awesome.
then you get to go there, right? So I go there with my wife, and Zach, who I mentioned, is texting with me now. Zach is a goalie for the Capitals. I have my go-to spot for Zach, and Zach,
that's awesome.
It's cool. Like if I don't have that relationship, if I don't go out and do that, then I'm just like another person calling restaurants and asking if they have availability and trying to kind of fumble my way through it. Like be prepared, be completely prepared with all that. And you're really going to kind of create an impact and add value.
You gave me an action item. I love like playing tour guide in my favorite restaurants in Raleigh. And that's a way for me to add value to my client. I'll text him, hey, how's the house? I'm not trying to be his best friend, but my NFL client, they've got 1 million people that are trying to sniff out money and endorsements and things like that and testimonials, but say, hey man, how's the house? Have you gone downtown lately? Here's the rest. It's my favorite restaurant. I just DM'd the owner. Let me get you a table sometime whenever you just let me know. That's awesome. I'm going to do that today. So thank you for that action item. Before we wrap this up, anyone else have any questions they want to shout out? If you get a chance, please DM Jordan and Jason. Thank them for their time. You guys are awesome. We went way over our like hour that we usually plan for these, but we just didn't want to turn off the faucet of value that you guys are adding. So really, thank you guys so much. Find them, KW Sports and Entertainment. Check out the website. Think about applying, kwsc@kw.com. Jordan and Jason are both active on social media too. So go follow them there and just get that inspiration of what they're doing in their day-to-day life. So with that, we're going to wrap it up. The recording will be on YouTube shortly, so you guys can share it with anyone. And thank you so much for your time, guys. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.